Motherhood is the biggest sisterhood of them all. Before we became mothers, we were individuals with hopes, dreams, and aspirations. But sometimes, as mothers, we lose sight of ourselves through the hustle and bustle of everyday life. Hi, I'm your host, Dawn Imani. Just a friendly mother that wants to chat about raising kids, chasing dreams, and highlighting the many inspirational stories of the mothers that do it. Just like that. So pull up, grab yourself a motherly beverage, and get ready to ride this roller coaster we call life. Condensed into a show. Welcome to MYLF Podcast, and it's time to meet today's mother you'd like to friend.
Sexy, rockin', that's what we gotta be to be deep sexy, deep empowered, deep and rockin', that's what we gotta be to be.
I just want to start off by just mentioning and putting out there that you were definitely one of my greatest influences for starting this show. I knew you back in, it's been a long time now, maybe like what?
2014, 6 years.
Six years. And you were a producer.
Executive producer.
Yes, I was gonna say I was gonna I was gonna correct myself. Thank you. Executive producer for Singledom, but you were also the creator and the host of a podcast, Diva Docs,
And the Melbadelphia show.
and the Melbadelphia. Listen, you are fierce, okay? You are a force to be reckoned with. And I was trying to like type in your letter, like all the things that you did, and I'm like, I don't have enough space. So
look, and it's still not finished. It's still not finished. It's just, I've been doing other things, and I'm trying to finish my dissertation to actually become doctor. So I just want it to be, rather than be a doctoral candidate and still continue pushing Diva Docs so hard, I'm going to wait till I finish my doctorate, and then I'm going to be pushing, because I've won multiple awards for that now. My last one was in 2018, and that was for best web TV talk show down in Miami. I've won Miami 3 times in a row for Diva Docs. Yeah.
that is so awesome. So before we begin, I would love for you to introduce yourself to my audience.
I'm Elisa O'Keefe Smith, and I'm from Melbourne, Australia, and now living in Philly. I have such a background in entertainment and also academia now, and pharma. Well, my dad was an athlete coming up. Sort of put that competitive, go get 'em the Aussie battler in me, because Aussie, the good old Aussie battler, and I'm also Taurus, so I'm very determined. I grew up, I sang, when I was still in Australia before I came to America. I was singing at the national anthems at the national arenas, like the tennis center for the NBL, which is the equivalent of the NBA here. I did the morning shows. So I was singing, that was my big dream when I was younger, to sing. And I sang in trios, bands, duos, and that's what I loved. I've done a lot of things with that. Music's always going to be part of my life. I married a musician who's still a musician. We're divorced now, but we still share a house, until I get something else. But we're family, even though we're divorced. We're very interesting situation. We were bringing up a child together, so we paid off the house. Thought, well, we weren't going to rip each other off. We actually had the easiest divorce you've ever heard of, and we decided to get along for the sake of our child. And we've paid off the house, so it gives me a lot of freedom to do what I want to do, because as you know, if you want to really roll anything these days, you can't wait for anyone else to do it for you. You've got to do it yourself. That ability to be able to do whatever I want, like travel where I want to, go to LA if I want, go to Miami if I want, just pick up and go, owning a house without a mortgage really affords me the ability to do that. So I really recommend that people, if they want to chase their dreams, and, because I think it's not an end. You don't reach your dream and that's it. You don't reach a dream and that's it. It's a journey. You've got to continue to just live with your passions, and that's what it's all about, So yeah.
Wow, that is so amazing. You said a few interesting things there that I want to emphasize.
Hmm.
One, you're divorced, but
Hmm.
you put your child's well-being before, whatever circumstances that
Absolutely.
had came across for you guys to decide to
Hmm.
divorce.
Hmm.
You guys put your baby ahead of your emotions
Yeah.
and had an amicable divorce and
Hmm.
stayed together essentially to co-parent and bring up your child. Now, how did
Yeah.
that work?
You know what? He's a musician, so he's out a lot of the time. We have our own spaces. He's in the studio a lot. I have my own room. That's my space. He doesn't come in my space. We have shared spaces, but ultimately, that's not what I want. But while I went through a couple of years that were really hard years, and I'm not going to lie. I've put myself out there. I've taken risks and I've put myself out there. I didn't want to follow the path most traveled, so I followed the path least traveled, and that definitely puts financial pressure on you. So I put myself in that situation too. Do I regret it? No, because my ex-husband's as non-traditional as I am. So had I got with someone else, they might have been really traditional and bound me. And that binding is a really hard thing. I was free, even though granted, not the ideal living situation. I have the freedom from financial obligation is huge. It's really huge. So between 2016 and 2019, I actually got into another business with a guy I started dating, and it was the first guy I dated after divorce, and I'd spend 2 or 3 nights a week, and I built his business, put all my marketing knowledge, and it's now what is developed is one of the biggest sports leagues in Philly, and he got greedy and cut me out. And I put in almost 2 years worth of my knowledge. I get paid a lot of money for that with Big Pharma and advertising agencies. He got all of that, took everything I had. And then when it started making a lot of money, just turned it around and on me. So that was not too long ago. Still dealing with court with that. And it was really, I wasn't prepared for it, but I think you've got to learn lessons. Things happen in life. And if you are going to go for your dreams, you've got to be prepared to weather the storms. And there's going to be storms. And you have to realize sometimes if you're meant for big things, sometimes these lessons come as people who really hurt you. Ultimately, I think that, this was a narcissist I was dealing with. I never knew about narcissists before. And it was a really hard situation, the smearing that they do that. But that, from what I've learned since, they all follow the same sort of ammo. Told lies about me, and then I realized that a lot of people don't stand up for the truth. They just stand up for what's convenient for them. And so, a lot of people knew the truth and they did care. And that was really hurtful. But all the same, I'm lucky that I found out then, because there's people that spend years and years and years and years with someone and they don't get out. I knew I was constantly addressing the disrespect because there was so much disrespect. It was just horrible. It was just absolutely horrible. And so, I fought back from that one. That was really, really hard, and fought back from that. And this year, it's just been so abundant. This year, the contracts because I also work pharma and a contract, so they don't own me. I've been working for a big New York advertising agency, and it's taking up a lot of my time, but I've been able to amass so much, pay off so many things, and I'm really putting myself in a really good place to make some major plays after the COVID pandemic is over. Yeah, I'm really setting myself up well, so
That is awesome. That's amazing. And I love what you said about when you're going for your dreams. Sometimes, you know, we hope that everybody will be supportive and caring just as much as we are about our passion that we're going for.
Right,
But sometimes, this is the truth. This is the real nitty gritty, dirty truth. Sometimes there are people out there that are there just to ride that wave and to use
take
you
from you.
and take advantage of you. And if you're not smart and savvy, then it's not even if you're not smart and savvy, because, you know, we do have to trust. We have to open ourselves up to trust other people, but you have to be aware. You have to be aware that sometimes people can, you know, if you leave yourself too wide open, that people can take advantage of you.
Exactly.
What you said is a real life situation that you
It
have
is.
to be mindful of the people, the company that you keep,
Who you let in.
you let in, and what you, because you did say that you put a lot of your time and energy into it and your money, you know, you lose
Well,
that.
I built the business with him from scratch, and he was just as driven as I was, but he had no knowledge in marketing. I blew that shit up. You know, excuse the expression. I blew it up. I was writing press releases. I was doing like major social media. I was probably doing 40 hours a week. I get paid a lot of money for this in pharma, and I was doing that because that was my equity. His word was not his word. He tried to take everything. This was meant to be the money to pay for finishing my doctorate. And so, you know, I had to put that on hold. Everything was put on hold because he just stole so much from me. You know, it was really debilitating. But this year, you know, I've just kept on. It took a lot to get over it, but I realize now that, you know, this was the first person I saw after, you know, coming out of a 19-year, almost 20-year marriage. So I wasn't used to the single life, you know, I was not. and you know, that was my first experience, and I was too trusting. I was very naive, and but I'm also not the type to be walked on, so I wasn't the type to take disrespect. So I would stand up, and I think it only lasted as long as it did because he wanted all the knowledge and information that I had, that I was giving, you know, and until he thought that he had enough and then he could ride that wave. And definitely he's ridden that wave. It's still successful, but I know where it could have been. Had we continued, it could have been national. Now it's huge in Philly, but it'll probably run out of steam in 2 to 3 years. Had I continued with it, it would have been national by now. So that's the difference. He couldn't see my vision for it, though. I think he just got greedy and wanted control in the Philly area. So it was really disappointing. But at the same time, now I realize, look, you know, I'm still working with sports. You know, I'm working with another league now. You know, I'm VPing that. And, you know, it's a little more, so I don't want to give up more than 1 day a week for it because of the fact that I have so many other things I want to achieve. So
You have, you mentioned you had to put your pursuing your doctorate on hold, but
yes.
now you are on your way.
Now I'm back in again. Yeah. Because this year's been so abundant. Everything I've been touching has been turning to money. So, and I mean, as I said, I had a rough few years. I had rough few years from when my dad died. That year, in 2016, I had to fly to Australia twice because he was sick. I had to take my daughter. It was a lot of money I was going through. And, you know, I had been working with an advertising agency at the start of that time, but they didn't want someone going back and forth, and my mind was not there. I was doing anything just to get by. I had to Uber. So you can imagine me getting in, and I had to Uber, and here's a person with an MBA, you know, halfway through a doctorate, and I've had to Uber. I've had to humble myself, and that's the thing. A person who has vision will have tough times, and you've got to be prepared to humble yourself and do what it takes. You know, yes, can you go back into the corporate world and be owned by that? Yes, but as a woman who's over 40, not so great. You know, I have an MBA, and I'm working on my doctorate, so I'm often seen as too qualified. I'm so much better working for myself because you're seen as too qualified, or we don't want to pay what she expects, or they make an assumption I want a lot. So, you know, you're just so much better to work for yourself. And it was really hard because I don't think I was in the right place. And then when I started working on the leg, I was working at an advertising agency, and they were good, but I put a lot into that leg, believing in the future. You know, that was all ripped away from me. But in the end game, you know, I only spent a year and a half, 2 years on that. I got away from him, and so many people don't. They don't stand up. And I was lucky. I was fortunate. You know, I didn't have to deal with that person anymore. Well, in court, but now everything's back on track. And this year, like just to start off, I got a contract with a major pharmaceutical company, and pharma is my bread and butter. So if you understand that, you know, as a dream, there's a lot of people who are creatives, and because they're talented. So one thing people who have big dreams and visions have to understand is when you're talented, there's a lot of talented people. And I've seen a lot of talented people, because they're talented, think that other people have to pay for them or feel entitled. And you've probably seen that too. But the fact is, there's a lot of talented people, and you've got to put your money where your mouth is. If you believe in your talent, you're going to invest in yourself. And so if you don't have the money to invest in yourself, why should anyone else put the money behind you? So, you know, I've had everything. Like, I didn't make some people sacrifice having a family. Having a family to me was important, but it also makes it hard, you know, because you have other obligations. The best thing I ever did in my life was have a child and have a family. But, you know, there's some people who make a sacrifice not to have a family. You know, for me, it was grounding. It was my grounding, and it put everything in perspective for me. So no one could hurt me that much because I had the love of my family, you know, and that was important to me. My daughter now, she's 22 years old, and she's a senior and studying for LSATs to go to law school. So, I mean, you know, I'm so proud of her. She's a really good kid, and, you know, works as a lifeguard in summer. But, you know, people have to understand that when you're going for your dream, you have to finance it yourself. So, you know, I've made a lot of things happen. Like when I got involved with Singledom, I was the money behind it, you know. I put the money there, you know. Kyrie pitched it to me, and I said, okay. So that was with Singledom, and Singledom opened up a whole new world to me. I had no intention of getting involved in film. I didn't know anything about film. I just done audio stuff. And so once I did that, I said, well, let's turn the radio show into a web TV talk show, you know. And that's what I did. And, you know, you know, landed a really great show with Jerry Heller the day before Straight Outta Compton came out, and that was the first year I was doing it as a talk show. Phenomenal. I mean, you know, it got a lot of attention, a lot of hate, a lot of love, but there's been so many views on that. It's ridiculous, you know, because people love to hate Jerry Heller, you know? And then, you know, his association with Eazy-E and Dre and Ice Cube, you know, whether they hated or loved him, they can't deny him, because, you know, without Jerry having been a main figure in NWA, you know, NWA wouldn't have came about like they did. And so that was like huge for me to land that. We won some awards with that. Jerry actually came to the awards at Sony Pictures in LA with us. So, because we got nominated in LA, and I had it screened in LA. So it's been a ride, but you know, Farmer, you know, it's come through for me again. And this year, man, I can't believe it. I'm working contracting, so I you know, own it myself with an advertising agency, and I started with them in May, because before that I was with a pharma company, and they were paying a whole lot of money too. So it's just been a great year. Money makes your dreams come true. I can't hear you. Or are you talking?
No, I'm trying to get my son to help Queen Luna get a show on.
She definitely is the queen, isn't
She
she?
is. And she's got the dress and the shoes on right now, so that she's in her full character right now.
Oh, that's so great. That's so great. She's probably going to be a little actress there, you know.
She might be. I'm hoping she'll be, you know, president or, you know.
There you go. That's what I want my daughter to be,
Yes.
you know.
Well, she very well might be. She's on her way.
And you know what? The good thing is she's seen me fight. You know, she's seen what I've gone through, and she's seen me fight. And she's also, as you know, and you know, some of your followers don't know, my daughter's biracial, so my ex-husband's black, and so she got really involved with the DNC when she was 18. She's 22 now, so that was her first chance to vote when she was 18 for Hillary. She was devastated when Trump came in. And
it's funny that you said that, because my daughter is I guess my middle child. She was that was how long ago? 4 years ago. So she was about 7. I think she was in
right
second grade, and so she was so adamant about Hillary, and she's like,
oh,
"Did you vote for Hillary, Mommy? Did
yeah,
you vote for Hillary?"
yeah.
So the next day after the election, the school called, and they're like, "Leilani is so upset right now.
Oh my God.
Sit her in the office and console her because Hillary lost the election."
Yeah, and my daughter was the same. I unfortunately had to go to Australia just before the election, and my daughter was in 12th grade at the time. So I had to fly to Australia because my dad died. And so I wasn't able to be here. And my daughter had actually gone to the DNC, the Democratic National Convention in Philly, and she'd actually got a ticket to it. So she'd gone there. She'd been doing the canvassing for Hillary. She'd been like signing people up outside the White. She was very invested. And because Hillary won the popular vote, and you know, who knows what shenanigans he did behind the scenes to win, because you know he was terrible towards women. And she was devastated. She said, "Mum, I don't know if I can live here anymore. I don't want to live in America anymore." She was devastated, crying her eyes out. And I said, "Look, things aren't going to change that much for you. You'll be okay." You know, I had to console her. She was devastated, and I was like half a world away, devastated as could be. But it really lit a fire under her, and she was definitely walking around with the Biden Harris t-shirts. And I don't know if you saw my post.
I saw the picture.
Yeah.
She's so beautiful, and she's such a strong-minded individual.
Yeah.
And I love seeing your posts, and I actually follow her on social media. She's the same age as my oldest daughter. But I love that you are so strong, and you are so aware of how your life affects your child. And I think that I know she definitely sees that strength in you. And it's such a great thing when parents are aware of how their lives, even whether good or bad, they go through things, but it's what they do in their journey that the children catch on to. And
I'm not a perfect parent. I'm far from being a perfect parent, but I do put her first. You know, when it was a choice between doctoral classes and my daughter, she came first. Now I've got the money for everything. I've got a real LSAT tutor, and you know, they're quite expensive, you know, the LSAT tutors. She was going to sit for the LSATs in November, but she pushed it back to January because she wants to get into a good law school. But that being the case, she's very aware of the inequity when it comes to racism, being Black herself, you know, even though she's biracial, people look at her and, you know, they see Black. My daughter's because my ex-husband's very dark, so she's fairly dark. And she definitely feels motivated to change things, to change society's, hey, to change society's rhetoric, just change level the playing field. She's very aware of it. She's felt it. She's felt it herself. She was on the swim team at high school. She's a lifeguard now, and she comes across it. She's come across it quite a few times, and in university, not what happened. Not in the living situation she was in now, but she was in another living situation, and the girls weren't so racist as ignorant. They were, young white girls who lived with her, and they came from fairly wealthy white families that hadn't had much experience, very homogenous sort of upbringing. And whereas my daughter, her upbringing is like being a global upbringing with so many different people, talented people, musicians, her upbringing is so different, very liberal upbringing. And it was really hurtful, some of their assumptions that they made, or they'd say things and they wouldn't see that she was black too, and she'd feel really offended. She'd call them out on their stuff, and I'm sure they learned some things, but and she was on the swim team, and she was the only black girl on the swim team, so she's definitely felt it. She's felt racism from both white girls and black girls. There were some black girls that were very mean to her, and being a biracial kid, sometimes you're the hate of both races.
I was gonna say that, as I mean, this is a whole deep topic. I probably need like 2 hours for this. Racism, both, especially for
exactly
biracial children, but also black people. We come in so many different shades and varieties. So you've got the light skin versus the dark skin, and it's so deeply rooted in African American culture that we don't, we talk about it, but we like glaze over it and we just make fun of it, and we don't see how it really does hurt as much as I don't know, like I grew up in Texas when I was younger, and I experienced racism with white people.
Right.
I did grow up in Texas, yes. And but you know what? It was expected. It was expected to hear those little comments from people, white people or whatever. And but it hurt more, I felt, when.
But you know what? As a mother, because this is what your podcast is about, just knowing that, I challenge the status quo. In everything I've done, I've always challenged the status quo. And just knowing my daughter's going to go further with that, and having law at her hands, she will be able to do a lot. And just knowing that I can influence that, that's really something. Like I influence in my own way, whether it was pushing, marrying a black man, having a black child, pushing it in people's faces, not caring what people said. That's a huge thing. And perhaps me being like that, I opened that world up to my dad, people that I knew, and they if it was cool with me, they all of a sudden became cool with that. So some people that might not have been racist but didn't know anyone who had a black family. Me, in America, most of my family's black. I'm probably, I'd say all my family's black. I'm the only white one. My white family's in Australia. So and if I look at my friends, I might look white when people see me, but I'd say 85%, maybe 80, 70-80% of my friends are Black. And that's an interesting ratio. And it's because I wasn't brought up here. So my experience was when I married my ex-husband, and he, of course, worked with a Black organization, which was Patti LaBelle. You know, he played with her for 20 years. And so that was a Black organization. And so everyone I was meeting, and the only people I met that were white were people in corporate America. And but everyone else I met was Black. And then in corporate America, I became friends with the cool people.
Yeah, all kinds of people. But that's true. I think you know, people from the outside looking in, we don't know what our stories are as individuals. So, you know, for you, if you, well, first, if you didn't speak, because you do have your accent, but if you didn't speak and people didn't know you, they would make certain assumptions about you.
They would. And I actually, because you know, I'm putting together, I've put together, it's actually written another web series, but we've had to put it on hold of filming because of COVID. But I was actually wanted to do another web romantic comedy. And so I pulled in Tash and Matt. And so what I would do is I would record via audio on my iPhone the experiences I had, and then I'd send them to Tasha. And Tasha's like she's a well-known actress and very funny comedian in Philly, and she's a freaking force to be reckoned with, very big force to be reckoned with, and she loved my idea. So one of the episodes we have is an experience I had when I was first, and this is talking about the Black-white experience. It was, I might have been pregnant at the time. It was, you know, I was first here in America, and I'd gone, actually it was before I'd just come here, and my ex-husband dropped me off at a restaurant because it was raining. So he dropped me off and said, go in, get us a seat, and I'll be in after I park the car. And so I went in, and you know, was led to a seat, and the waiter was a young white guy, and he's talking to me. I was probably like 29, I don't know. I was in my 20s at the time, late 20s. And he's like, oh, you're from Australia? How, you know, and I'm, you know, sort of hitting on me a little bit. And I said to him, well, where are the good places to go, you know? And he said to me, well, you know, Philly's okay. And he didn't realize that my husband was Black. So he made the assumption that I was living the white experience like him. So he says to me, oh, well, Philly's okay. And then he says, and you have to be there because we're doing an episode on this in our Hood Down Under, you know, which is, you know, Boy from the Hood meets Girl from Down Under and Alarian Shoes. Well, this I've made into a funny episode, but it's actually really what happened to me. So this guy says, well, Philly's okay. He says, but there's too many Black people. And I'm like, as he said this, my ex-husband, who's Black, very, very Black, comes up behind him, says, hey, Lee, because he calls me Elisa or Lee. And the guy, his eyes opened up in horror, you know, and he ran. And as he ran, he tripped. So this is like a great episode. It's like instant karma for being racist, you know, which was great. So, you know, I'm absolutely, because the web series I'm doing is a mini web series, and it's ideal because I can touch on racism with it. You know, my experience from, you know, being in an interracial relationship, and you know, and then I'm going to do an episode on hair, you know, you know, because I'm very oblivious when it comes to my friends and my daughter. And I had a convertible, and all I can say is we're going to do a hilarious episode on that, you know, with the convertible, you know, because I'd be like, everyone get my car, get ready to go. And I'm like putting the top down there. I go, and I'm like, you know, my hair's blowing in the wind. They're hanging onto their hair. The humidity is like, they're like looking at me with horror. So we can really play on this with an episode. I can hardly wait to film it.
Oh my gosh. I can't wait to see that. Yeah. Oh my Lord. Yeah. That is hilarious.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, so it's going to be, the show is called The Hood Down Under, this mini web series, and it's going to be 3 or 4 episodes. I've got so many hilarious things. It's going to be.
I'm already crying.
I know. It's three
I'm
or
thinking
4
about.
episodes.
I'm thinking about how that would.
Like the waiter thing is serious, what the waiter said, but at the same time, it's funny when you see the instant karma that hits. So I'm able to even the score by having him trip, because he did trip. And in actual fact, what we did after that is we told the manager, and we ended up getting a meal and drinks for free. So that was, so that was really good. But
that's a beautiful story, actually. I think your perspective is so interesting because you grew up in another country, and that is just your story is just so profound. I just want, if you could just leave us with a little takeaway for the audience, maybe a special mantra or something that you keep in your heart that helps you get through life and keeps you going.
Okay, the mantra or mantras that I live by, reciprocity. The law of reciprocity, where if you have good energy, you have to guard that energy and protect that energy from people who do not give back. I've learned that lesson. It's been a hard lesson to learn because I give so much. And so be aware, because when you're a person of light, when you're a person who is a giver, you attract both good people and bad. And the good people are great. It's reciprocity, they give back. So, and it's an exchange of energy, and with that exchange of energy, anything can be accomplished. But when there's also users, and bad people are drawn by your energy too, because they want it for themselves, but they just take it for themselves and they don't give back. You've got to be able to determine those people and not get involved with them, not allow them into your circle. I mean, you can be an acquaintance with them, but don't allow them close. That's a mistake. If I could help anyone not make the mistakes I've made, I'd say, because I'm pretty kind and I learn from my lessons, and also learn your lessons, because the lessons are going to continue to be presented to you until you deal with them. So if you're in a bad situation, it's not going to change unless you do something about it. Ultimately, people can treat us badly, but we are responsible for what we do about it. If we stay in that situation, that's our accountability. We might not be bad people ourselves, but we are accountable. We can't stay in a victim mentality and move forward. Have I had bad things done to me? Yes. Am I a victim? Absolutely not, because I will kick their ass. I might be taken advantage of, but they won't want to mess with me again. So that's something I can give to anyone watching, and especially all these mothers with so much wonderful energy, and we've all got those maternal instincts, and a lot of women too. There's a lot of people also in the world that are looking for good people, and they're just looking to take. You've got to be aware of those people, and you've got, can they change? Yes, but that's not up to you to change them. They will change themselves. If someone's not reciprocating good energy, you've got to walk away. That's a big one for me. Surround yourself with people that and want the best for you and lift you. If you've got someone who's always tearing you down, you're going to lose yourself. So, and whatever we learn, we're supposed to teach. Whatever we learn, we're supposed to teach. And those have been my big, especially the last couple of years, my big learnings have been about just being, continue to be open and loving, because I'm an open person. But at the same time, be careful with giving all your heart away. Just make sure that someone earns your trust. Trust is earned. And what I did was I gave trust too easily. Can't give that trust now. Trust is earned. And then once they earn it, you can't assume they're bad either, but you got to earn it. You don't just get it automatically. So guard your heart and always make sure that there's reciprocal energy, that you all lift each other higher. Because you don't need people in your life that don't want the best for you, that do not reciprocate good energy, that would not do the same for you as you do for them. If you ask yourself, everyone in your circle, would they do for you what you do for them? If you can't say that for them, why are they there?
Yes. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Like, I didn't know we was going to church today.
And these are just life learnings. My life learning is what you sow, so shall you reap. You don't have to be vengeful when someone does the wrong thing to you. And I mean, we want people to pay, that's our flesh, as I've learned. But ultimately, the best we can do is learn our lessons and move on, because karma or God or the universe will deal with them. You cannot put bad energy into the world and get away with it forever. Karma will pay a visit in her own time. And so you have to understand, if someone's done the wrong thing to you, don't let it destroy your future life. You've got to learn the lesson. And here's my daughter. Do you want to say hi? Hello. She's got her mask on. This is Dawn.
Hey, how are you?
Hi.
Oh my gosh, your mom is over here preaching right now. Oh Lord.
Yeah, she's a good kid, this one.
Yeah.
So I'm really proud of her. So I hope that was good information, but
Beautiful.
yeah, and just surround yourself with love. There's nothing better than people love family. There's nothing better than I'm so fortunate in looking at what you have. What you have when you're feeling down. Remember, there's so many people with so much less. Be grateful, and also just be protective of your energy, because you can waste a lot of time with people who haven't earned it. Don't give your energy to people who don't deserve it.
Well, I'm so proud of you. So proud of you, and I'm so blessed to call you my friend, and I'm so thankful that you took the time to be on my show. I know it was difficult with everything going on, but I'm so happy that you are relaxed today. I thank you. I thank you. And honestly, like, I really am grateful for you, because I wouldn't have had the courage to start this show.
We might be doing something together in the near future.
You've made it to the end of MYLF Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to all of our social media. Thank you to our beautiful, smart, and amazing guest, marketing and producing whiz, and fearless mother and doctoral candidate, Elisa O'Keefe Smith, for sharing her story of how she has faced hardships on her continuous path of success. Please come back next week to meet co-business owner of Zuzu's Lip Balm, philanthropist, and mom, Dominique Ashley.